Hello, dear learners. Welcome to Teaching Learning session of Sociology. Today, we'll discuss about slums, neighborhood, and gated community of urban areas. We discussed what is urbanization, what is urbanism. This urbanization leads to many problems. Slum is byproduct of urbanization. Rapid urbanization and human population growth, especially in developing countries like India, is a crucial issue. Most of the urban centers in India have witnessed enormous growth, particularly in terms of population. Why these urban centers have witnessed the enormous growth of population? Because of migration of rural population to the urban areas in search of jobs and better living conditions. Massive slums have become a major feature of the city in many low income and middle income countries. Why this has become a major feature in low income and middle income countries? Because people migrate from one place to another, from one town to another, or urban area to another urban area, or from rural area to urban area in search of job and for better living condition, for economic prosperity. So it is a major problem, especially in the low income and the middle income countries. Slums are the unhealthy places with especially high risk of infection and injury, that children are especially vulnerable, and that the combination of malnutrition and recurrent diarrhea leads to stunted growth and long-term effect on the cognitive development. Slum is a byproduct of urbanization, but this slum give rises to many other problems. This is responsible for many other problems. Slums, there is a problem of hygiene. There is a problem of high risk infection, and children are vulnerable to many health issues. Mostly children in slum areas are malnutrition, and because of all these things, because of malnutrition, because of unhygienic conditions, because of infection, it leads to the stunted growth of the children, and it impacts the cognitive development of the children. Urbanization possesses several socio-economic and environmental problems for cities, and one among them is the rise of slums. Slum, as I told you, slum is byproduct of urbanization. It possesses several socio-economic and environmental. This urbanization possesses several socio-economic and environmental problem. Environmental problem like population, pollution, rise in infection rate, unhealthy working and living conditions. A slum is a compact area of overcrowded populations, poorly built, congested dwelling conditions, and unhygienic environment, usually with inadequate infrastructure and lacking proper sanitary and drinking facilities. In slum areas, population is overcrowded. Population density is higher than the other areas in slum. People live in small spaces. The hygienic conditions are not very good. People live in unhygienic conditions, and these unhygienic conditions are responsible for various types of infections. There is inadequate infrastructure like no proper sanitation, no water facility, no electricity facility is there in slums. The definition of slum is complex in nature, which differs widely from global to regional level. The slum is a kind of place with a large concentration of poor people, daily livelihood, and inadequate basic services like water, sanitation, drainage, energy, transport, and others. If we have to define this slum is a place with a large concentration of poor people. Majority of migrants live in slums. Those who migrated from their places to urban areas in search of jobs. There are inadequate basic facilities, like there is no water facilities there, sanitation facilities not proper, drainage facility problem is there, and energy and transport and so many other problems exist in these slums. The UN operationally defines slums as one or set of people living in the same house in an urban area who lack one or more facilities, that is, secure tenure, durable housing, sufficient living spaces, access to improved water and sanitation facilities. So you can define slum as a place where one or a set of people live in a smaller houses in the same houses, and these houses lack one or more facilities like security, durable housing, sanitation, sufficient living space because population density is high in slum areas, access to improved water. Slums are neglected parts of the cities where housing and living conditions are appallingly poor. Ranges from high density, squalid central city tenements to spontaneous squatter settlements without legal recognition or right, sprawling at the edge of cities. Identifying and categorizing these slums. We can identify and categorize the slums, and it is of three types category. If we categorize the slum, it is of we can categorize the slums into three. First is notified slums, second is recognized slums, and third is identified slums. Notified slums. All notified areas in town or city which have been notified as slum by state, union territory administration, or local government, housing and slum boards, etc. Under any status, including the Slum Act, shall be considered as notified slum. All those slums which comes under the Slum Act are known as notified slum. Notified slums are those slums which are notified by the government, local government, by UT administration, or by the housing and slum boards, and these slums comes under the Slum Act. Second type is recognized slum. All areas recognized as slum by the state, local government, union territory administration, housing and slum boards, which may not have been formally notified as slum and are classified as recognized slum. Not recognized slums are those slums which don't come under the Slum Act. These are recognized as a slum by the state government, by the UT administration, housing and slum boards, which may not be formally notified And notified slums are those slums which are formally notified by these local authorities, by the government, and it comes under the Slum Act. Recognized slums are those slums or those areas which are recognized as a slum by the authorities but not formally notified. Identified slums. The third type of slum is identified slums. A congested area of at least 300 populations or about 60 or 70 households with poorly built congested sites in an unhygienic environment, usually with inadequate infrastructure and lack of proper sanitation and drinking. Identified slums are those slums or those which have a congested area and should have at least population of 300 or 60 to 70 households should be there. The hygienic conditions of these areas are very poor, and these houses are built in unhygienic environment. There is inadequate infrastructure, lack of proper sanitation and drinking facilities. If all these things exist somewhere, those are known as identified slums. Notified slums are those slums which has been notified by the authorities and covered and comes under the Slum Act. Recognized slums are those slums where the authorities recognized those slums, but these slums don't comes under the Slum Act. Identified slums are those slums where there is a population of 300 or at least 60 to 70 households are there, and these people live in inadequate, unhygienic environment, and these are known as identified slums, and they don't come under Slum Act. Urbanization and slum formation. Urbanization is responsible for the formation of slums. Urbanization has been recognized as a symbol of development as well as burden over resources. Rapid urban population growth has outpaced the ability of a city authority to provide for housing and environment and health infrastructure. Urbanization, because of the more development in because of the industrial development in the urban areas, people migrated from their native places, especially from the smaller cities or towns or villages to the larger cities or the urban areas in search of jobs or better economic and environmental conditions. But this urbanization is responsible for the burden of the resources, and this rapid urbanization has outpaced the ability of the city authorities. Every urban area, every resource, every one has a capacity to support. There is if population increases rapidly, then it has outpaced because of the rapid population growth, it has outpaced the ability of the city resources. Resources are limited and population is more, so they compete, more population compete for fair resources, resources like land, resources like food, resources like hygienic conditions, resources like transport. Squatter and slum settlements have formed mainly because of inability of city governments to plan and provide affordable housing for low income segment of the urban population. Because the government or because the authorities fail to provide affordable housing up to the low income segment to the migrants. This resulted in the development of slums. They have to live somewhere. So this has given rise to slums. And the city government failed because of many reasons. There are many constraints or reasons responsible for this. Squatter and slum housing is the housing solution for this low income urban population. The outcome has been one of the highest rate of death from infectious diseases among Asian cities because of poor living conditions, because of unhygienic condition, because of improper sanitation and water facilities, and because of water lagging. This leads to infectious disease. This gave rise to the infectious disease, which resulted in the high death rates in the slums. Low income cities in South Asia and Africa are more vulnerable to environmental diseases such as floods and hence diseases because of their fragile social infrastructures. Infrastructures in low income cities are very fragile, and because of these fragile infrastructure, these cities are vulnerable to environmental disasters as well as they are vulnerable to infections. Slums are usually found closed area where work is available. Obviously, people migrated in search of jobs. They prefer to live near work areas, and so these slums formed close to the work areas. Population pressure caused the slum to push upwards and outwards because of more migration, because of more urbanization. More population moves to moves or migrate from rural areas to urban areas, and this causes the slum to push outward and upward. It means it increases the areas of slums. The slum size increases because of more migration. Competition for sites close to pace of work causes inflation in the rents and land prices. See, there are many problems associated with these slums or the urbanization. We discussed the problem like inadequate facilities. We discussed the problem of sanitations, right? We discussed about the problems related to the hygienic condition. Another problem associated with the development of slum is it increases or it inflates the rent rates or the land prices because of more demands. People prefer to live near to their work areas, and when there is more demand than the supply, right, demand is more than the supply, it results in the increased prices of land or rent. So this urbanization is again responsible for inflation in the rent rates or the land prices in some specific areas. Slums are more prevalent in the metros but are slowly coming up in other cities and towns of India also. The living conditions in slums are subhuman, with little or no access to civic amenities like water, electricity, and sanitation. Slum and urbanization, universal and specific aspects. Slum is characterized by the precarious nature of its habitat, but it is more than that. It can genuinely be seen as hothouse of cultural creativity, economic invention, and social innovations. Slum is a hothouse for cultural creativity. Why it is a hothouse for cultural creativity? Because people from the different areas come together and live together in these slum areas because they migrated from the different areas in search of the jobs and other and for because of other reasons, and now they are living together. So it gives rise to a cultural creativity, economic inventions, and social innovations. You might have seen jugaad. You might have heard about this word. Because of lack of resources and because of their needs, it gives rise to the innovations, social innovations, scientific innovations, economic inventions. Classic urban planning principles are based on comprehensive planning regarding land allocation, infrastructural organization, and decision on technical services and networks. Slum health issues and child mortality. As we discussed that the death rate in slums is more because of the unhygienic conditions, and these unhygienic conditions are responsible for various health issues. These unhygienic conditions give rise to various health issues. Slum has received scant attention compared with rural health, urban health, and poverty and health. Studies of slum health make up only a small proportion of studies of low income and middle income countries. It is difficult to measure the life expectancy of people who live in slums because they move regularly and might return to the rural areas to die. See, various studies have been conducted, but these studies have been conducted in the low and middle income countries, and it is difficult to measure the life expectancy of people in slum areas. Why it is difficult to measure the life expectancy? Because they migrate, they move from one place to another. It is difficult to collect the data for these from these slums. There are various reasons why studies are low, because it is the first reason is very difficult to collect the data. Why it is difficult to collect the data? Because of these unhygienic conditions, researchers prefer not to enter the slum areas, and because of other activities like antisocial activities and criminal activities in the slum areas, people don't prefer to go to slum areas to collect the data, right? So it is difficult to carry these studies. There are less number of studies in these slum areas on the slum people, and that's why it is difficult to measure the life of expectancy of a people, because people migrate from one place to another. They don't live at the same place, and because of unhygienic condition, when there is a deterioration in their health, they prefer to move out from this place and always prefer to go to their native places to die, right? So they prefer to die at their native places. So it is difficult to measure the life expectancy in these slum areas. Then there are various other regions responsible for the bad health or the um, health issues and the child morality in slum areas, like undernutrition and malnutrition, because the people of low income group live in the slum areas. They don't have that money to buy a nutritious food. They cannot afford nutritious food. So undernutrition and malnutrition, especially the children, this leads to various physical and mental disabilities or ailments. right? So undernutrition and malnutrition is another reason. Health issues in the slum areas because low income group lives in the slums and they don't earn so much. Then injury, accidents, and violence is another reason responsible for high mortality or health issues. Injuries, because of congested areas, more people live in these smaller spaces, so the chances of injury increases. Accidents happens. Our research studies carried out states that because of improper cooking facilities leads to many accidents. So accidents because of the congestion, because of improper facilities is responsible for high death rate or health issues. Violence. Violence is another issue because resources are limited and population density is more. More people fight for less resources, and this give rise, at times this give rise to violence. Competition for resources, this is struggle for their survival. And then mental health is another issue or another factor which is responsible. Mental health of these, because people in this in people lives in these slums are low income group people, and they are stressed because of poor living conditions, because of unhygienic conditions, and because of their work pressure. They earn less, and when inflation is high, they need more money to survive in the urban areas. And these condition, these pressure, work pressure, social pressure, unhygienic conditions, malnutrition, all these leads to the mental health. It affects the mental health. Non-communicable diseases is another factor. Neighborhood and gated community. So I hope slum is clear. Now we'll discuss about neighborhood and gated communities. What is neighborhood? The smallest unit of neighborhood is called home area, and it is the geography covered in 5-10 minutes walk from one's home. Neighborhood, the smallest unit of neighborhood is called the home area, and the geography which you can cover within the 5-10 minutes walk is the neighborhood. The modern day understanding of neighborhood comprises the set of residents, public parks, or local shops that are present in vicinity of our homes. So neighborhood comprises set of residents who live in nearby area where we are living, the public parks or the shops or within a given geography which we can cover in 5 to 10 minutes walk. This is known as neighborhood. The neighborhood is territorial bound social entity. They are also webs of social networks. Remember this thing: territorial bound social entity. Territorial bound means defined geographical area. So neighborhood is territorial bound social entity that is within a defined geographical area, that is neighborhood, right? Within a kilometer, 2 or 3, which you can cover within a 5-10 minutes, is your neighborhood. They are also the webs of social networks. Territorial, a well-defined territorial area, as well as webs of social network is known as neighborhood. The neighborhood serves a certain social function. Why neighborhood is important? Because it serves social functions, and social functions are very important for the society. Our neighborhood should be a site that enables us to live our lives in comfort. Also, it is a source of status and self esteem. Neighborhood is a place, or neighborhood is a site that enables us to live a comfortable life. And neighborhood is a status and is a symbol of status and self esteem. We prefer to live in the area according to our status. We choose the area according to our status, according to our self esteem. Neighborhood is always associated with the status of an individual. Why people prefer to move out, to migrate from one place to another, from one colony to another colony, because of their status. As the status increases, or because of their self esteem, people moves out from one place to another. They shift from one place to another, from one neighborhood to another. Neighborhood are the sources of social cohesion. Why it is related to status and this self-esteem? Because it is a source of social cohesion, and we always prefer a social cohesion with the people of same status, right? So, neighborhood are the sources of social cohesion. It brings comfort, security, and identity. Neighborhood is our identity. Neighborhood brings security, and it brings comfort. They provide a sense of belonging to the members. We make our first social interaction outside the families in the neighborhood. See how important neighborhood is. Neighborhood is a defined territorial area. We choose neighborhood. We can choose our neighborhood. It totally depends on us, and we choose or prefer the neighborhood according to our status. Neighborhood is social cohesion, and we make our first interaction outside the families in the neighborhood. A neighborhood gives us comfort, brings comfort. It brings security. If we are not secure, if we feel like that our neighbors are not good, we don't feel comfortable and secure to live in that place. We always prefer to move out from that place. And if we feel like that our neighbors are really good, then we feel like we should live here. We should not move out. In fact, if we can afford a bigger house or a better place to live, neighborhood matters. Neighborhood brings our identity. It is responsible for identity. The place where we live gives is responsible is brings the identity. Neighborhood provides opportunities for face to face interaction, bringing closeness to others. Economic researches shows that success of Home run enterprises and micro businesses can depend on the quality of one's neighborhood relationship. See how important neighborhood is. Neighborhood gives us the opportunity for face to face interaction, and face to face interaction is very important because it brings confidence, and it is responsible for social interaction, and social interaction is very important in sociology, in socialization. Until and unless you will interact with another, how could you socialize? And this neighborhood brings closeness. Human being is a social animal, cannot live in isolation. They need someone to interact, and neighborhood provide us that opportunity to interact. They bring closeness to others. This is how we learn socializing. This is how we learn how to behave in society. Moreover, the economic research shows that the home run enterprises, especially the micro business, depends on the quality of neighborhood relationship. If your relationship with your neighbors are good, they may help you in growing their business, especially the micro businesses or the home run businesses. And if your neighborhood is not good, or if your relationship with your neighbors are not good, you will face n number of problems in carrying out your business. So the success of micro or home run business depends on the neighborhood. They can stand with you or they can create problems for you. It totally depends on your relationship and the type of your neighborhoods. Community involvement and cohesion varies across classes and demographics. As I told you that there is a cohesion. Neighborhood is responsible for cohesion. This cohesion and the involvement, community involvement or involvement with uh, neighbors depends or varies across the classes and demographics. It is not same everywhere. Neighborhood ties along class lines inform that blue collar workers or the pensioners have more intimate ties with neighborhood than the members with the white collar jobs. As I told you that the involvement and cohesion varies across the classes and the demographics, and the neighborhood ties along the class line of blue collar or the pensioners or the retired have more intimate ties with the neighborhood. Why they have more intimate ties with the neighborhood pensioners or the retired person, why they have more intimate ties? Because they have time to interact with their neighbors. Why it is more in blue collar jobs? Because mostly the blue collar jobs are the migrants. They don't have their relatives nearby. They need someone, because human being is a social animal, to interact. They need someone to interact. That's why the blue collar jobs, workers and pensioners have more intimate ties with the neighborhood rather than the members of white collar jobs, while white collar jobs are more busier than the white collar or the pensioners. Blue collar jobs are the migrants, and the pensioners have the time to interact with the neighbors. They need someone to interact with. The reason could be the blue collar members spend relatively more time outside in the neighborhood. Such is the case with the retired members. Meanwhile, the white collar members spend most of their time in social circle outside the neighborhoods, because white collars are busier and they prefer to spend their time in their circles rather than the neighborhoods. We discussed about blue collar, white collar jobs in our previous lecture. The degree and quality of interaction in neighborhood can vary vastly across groups. The interaction and degree varies according to the class, according to groups, and according to demography. One of the numerous characteristics of neighborhood is their ability to facilitate collective actions. See, as I told that the relationship with neighborhood varies according to the class, blue collar, white collar, according to the groups, and according to demographics. People living in smaller towns interact more with their neighbors, while the people living in gated communities or in the bigger towns have lesser time and don't interact with their neighbors much. It varies from demography to demography. It varies from culture to culture. There are various characteristics of neighborhood, and one of those characteristics is collective actions. People take collective actions to solve problems, like problems like poor sanitation. If there is no proper sanitation facility available, neighbors take the proper action, collective action to solve that problem. Due to physical proximity of the members, neighborhoods have increasingly become platform for debates, discourses, negotiation and political actions because they live together nearby areas. Because of the physical proximity, neighbors interact with each other and this become a platform for the debates, for the discussions, political discussions, economic discussions, negotiations, and discourses. Community spirit among the members of neighborhood has been found high among the deprived classes. The community spirit is high in deprived classes. Why it is high in deprived classes? It is high in deprived classes because of more cohesion. They interact more. They understand each other's issue. And because of more cohesion, because of more interaction in deprived classes, the community spirit is among high. Why there is more cohesion? There is more cohesion because of one of the reason is insecurities, because the deprived classes are insecure. They feel like if we will live together, then only we can survive. So, community spirit is high among the members of neighborhoods. Those neighborhoods showed high solidarity in the protection of their rights. They stand for each other, they stand with each other because they know when we will stand together, then only we can survive. They are insecure. So community spirit is high and they show high solidarity. Spirit is high, automatically there will be high solidarity. And there are many reasons for this community spirit and solidarity. One of them is migration. Another is lack of resources, competition, insecurities. In modern times, people look for functional neighborhoods. Their rational choice of neighborhood reflect their geographical and social requisites, proximity to place of work, access to public transport, presence of good schools in the neighborhood, and social status of the neighbors. Nowadays, people chooses a functional neighborhood. Their rational choice, what they look for their neighborhoods, what they look in their neighborhoods, they look the neighborhood reflects their geographical and social requisites, proximity to their workplace. That it should be near to their workplace. Why it is required? So that the commuting time should be less. They look for the public transport facility, whether public transport is available in that area or not. Public transport plays an important role because this public transportation plays an important role in one's life, because everyone every day we commute from our house to the workplace using this public transport. Presence of good schools in neighborhood is one of the important aspect. Everyone wants a good education for their children. And social status of neighbors is very important, because it gives us the our neighbors gives us the identity. We always prefer to live in the place according to our status, social status. There is ambiguity regarding the extent of interaction in neighborhood. See, neighborhood is very important, but how much we interact with our neighbors, there is ambiguity in this. Conflict theorists have argued that the urbanization and modern neighborhood undermine the community bonds and personal rapport shared in the traditional neighborhoods. Because of urbanization and modern neighborhoods, this has impacted the neighborhood. This has impacted the community bond and a personal rapport shared in the traditional neighborhood. In urban areas, people don't have much time to interact with each other. They prefer to live in their own areas, or they prefer to live their own life. They don't like others' interference in their life, as well as they don't want to interfere in others' life because of busy life. People interact less in their neighborhood. This undermines the community bond. Social interaction is responsible for community bond. When there is less interaction, it undermines the community bonds. The relationship found in cities are impersonal, reciprocal, transactional, and momentary. The relationship in urban areas are not permanent type of relationship. They are impersonal type of relationship. We know each other, but we don't share our personal information. It is reciprocal type. It is transactional type. We transact with each other. We communicate with each other because of our needs. and the relationship and cities is momentary. It is not long lasting type of relationship because of lifestyle of urban areas. Modern neighborhoods only vary in physical forms and not in values. Although there are changes in modern neighborhoods, but they vary in physical forms, not in the values. With the advent of technology, neighborhood interaction takes place in indirect way. Even if we don't have a time to interact with our neighborhood because of a difference in our work times, but we can interact in indirect ways because of technological advancement. We can now interact with our neighborhoods. Even if we move out from one place, or we migrate from one place to another, or from one society to another society, then even we can communicate with our previous neighbors, and the credit goes to the development of technology. The conversation takes place over a combination of personal and virtual interaction. The advancement of technology has given us an option of virtual interaction. Personal interaction is very important because it teaches us how to socialize. It is very important for socialization. But because of urbanization, because of busy lifestyle, at times we are not able to interact personally with anyone, but we can interact virtually with our neighbors. Gated communities. Gated communities. What are gated communities? One of the booming structure in urban space in recent decade is gated community. Gated communities are new form of urban habitat that challenges the urban spatial organization. Right? We discussed about the urban spatial in our previous lectures. So it is a booming structure in urban space. It is a new form of gated communities is a new form of urban habitat. The privatization of neighborhood can be dated back to the 19th century. Industrial cities such as Paris and London. What is gated community? When we privatize the neighborhood. And this privatization of neighborhood dated back in 19th century. And it started in the cities like Paris and London. The new industrial cities started seeking quiet and private and closed neighborhood. Enclosed neighborhood is gated community. The underlying objectives of gated neighborhoods remain the same, like need for comfort and privacy. Regional adaptations point to variance in nature and characteristics. Gated community is that community, that neighborhood, that privatized type of a neighborhood is gated community, and people look for quiet and private enclosed neighborhood. That private and enclosed neighborhood is gated community, and it is dated back to the 19th century. And the objective, this the adaptation of this gated community varies in nature and characteristics, but the underlying objectives are same. They remain the same, and the objectives are comfort and privacy. Why this gated community and gated neighborhood developed? The reason is the comfort, because people wanted comfort and privacy. So this new structure, this new form has been developed, that is known as the gated community. The South African gated community traces their roots back to institutionalized racism. In South Africa, the gated community institutionalized the racism that the white people have uh, separated their living spaces, and this is because of their racist behavior. That gated community is the private space. Only the residents of those areas can enter. No one else can enter without permission. No one else can access the facilities of that area. And closed residents were historically built for and restricted to affluent white officers. Right? It is built for and restricted to white affluent white officer means only those who are the residents of that gated community can enter, can access that area, can access the facilities of that area, but no one else can enter. Gated structure in Johannesburg were more inclusive and inhabited by all races and classes. They were conceptualized as an affordable housing option for urban dwellers. In Johannesburg, this gated community is inclusive. Everywhere else, it is exclusive. The people from all races and classes inhabited in that community, and this is conceptualized as an affordable housing option for the urban dwellers. Gated communication, often known as fortified enclaves, are private, enclosed, and closely monitored area of residence. They are closely monitored, private, and enclosed. They are bound territories with the adequate amenities to support the lives of their residents. They have all the amenities to support the lives of their resident. It is like city within a city. Gated communities include gymnasium, walkways, parks, daycares, shopping center, restaurants, recreational hubs, special zone for sports, swimming pools, and more. That is city within a city. It is a gated community. There are n numbers of gated communities in India. The gated societies thus resembles a mini city within the city. The residents experience an urban life within the walls of gated structure. They don't need to go out to fulfill their needs. Everything is available within the enclosed space. They experience a urban life in the walls of the gated structure. Gated communities are appealing to people for variety of reasons. Why people prefer gated communities? Because of security, they provide security. Because of privacy, because of quality utility services, because of quality utility services like air services, gas services, water services, because of sanitations, because of clean environment, round the clock surveillance. A key feature of gated community is the presence of community association. There is an association of this gated community, and these associations are contractual and handle neighborhood level governance. These community associations are responsible for the maintenance and the governance of the neighborhoods of these communities, and these are contractual. An administrative body oversees the functioning of the association and the welfare of the gated society. There is an administrative society, residential welfare associations, which oversees the functioning of the association. They oversees the property and establish the rules to govern the property, and every human being, every resident has to follow those rules. And these body consists the members, and they have been elected by the residents. And residents abide by the regulations framed by these associations. Right? There are many critics of gated community. The major criticism as like social and spatial polarization. Gated neighborhood allowed for the privatization of public spaces and disappropriation of public spaces and resources by group of urban residents is discriminatory against the group, especially the urban poor. It is discriminatory. That's all for today. Thank you very much. Namaskar.